if you're not achieving anything, how can you ever be anything, right? And so I think procrastination is deadliest habit that one can have.
If you continue to surround yourself with unhealthy habits, you are going to go down a path that makes you unhappy.
Unless you take action, you're never going to make it. It's as simple as that. Like the mental masturbation, all the thoughts of starting that new thing, speaking to that person, making things happen, nothing happens unless you take the action to make things happen.
Never question your identity because it's like you are who you are, be it like the good and the bad. It's a combination of everything. And so, like, it's just about accepting that and don't allow anybody to use words that kind of like make you feel like you should be something else.
What's up, what's up, what's up, underdogs? Welcome to another episode. Today, we're talking about habits, healthy habits that will help you triumph in life, in business, and that will help you achieve that discipline that is required as an entrepreneur. We know that a lot of our audience, a lot of our listeners, a lot of our underdogs, they want to build their own business. And we wish that we could say that it's so easy, but it requires you to have immaculate discipline. And that will help you to not just build your business in life, but also to be happier. So here's what's going to happen in this episode. We're going to be covering not just the most important habits, but we're also going to break down our own habits and the way that we have implemented those into our daily routine. We're also going to cover what are the best routines and habits that you can use to become a great entrepreneur. And we're also going to tell you exact step by step on how you can start today, straight after this episode, building those habits. So, one could say you're in for a ride. All right. And as always, I am accompanied by Robert. Robert, I would love for you to introduce yourself to all the new underdogs around the world. We have gotten so many of you sending us messages, sharing those episodes. And so the family, the army is growing. And I just wanted to express my special thank you to every single one of you who is sharing, reviewing, and leaving us all the great comments that fill us up with energy. Thank you. Robert?
Yeah, 100%. So, guys, also to sound out what Alex said as well, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. The response has been incredible. And as you know, we are a new podcast. So, your guys' support, it means the world to us. And for those of you who don't know, for all our new listeners, I am Robbie. I'm your brand strategist. And everything that I will be talking about here is to help you build an incredible brand online so that people are looking, watching, and loving everything that you do.
Ooh, yes. We'll do exactly that. And let's dive straight in. So many of you are probably wondering, well, habits are great because people say they're great, but why are they actually important? And so, Robert, why are habits important in the first place? Why should people listen to this episode at all?
Mm. Yeah, well, for me, like personally, habits are really important because they define who you are. They define how you live your life, and having good habits in place enable you to live a life that ultimately makes you incredibly happy and enables you to take actions
Hmm.
towards a better life. So that is that's my own interpretation of why habits are so important. And so having them in place to be happier, to get what we want out of life is why habits are so important.
So, do you think we could be happy even if we didn't have any healthy habits?
Ooh, I love that question. So, immediately in my mind, I would say no, because if you continue to surround yourself with unhealthy habits, you are going to go down a path that makes you unhappy. Like an example of an unhealthy habit, being that, let's say, every single day you just want to have that McDonald's breakfast in the morning. You know that it's bad for you. You know it's terrible for your health, but every morning you go ahead and you buy it. And so every single morning, your health is suffering. That huge boost of dopamine, okay, the happy drug that you get from that McDonald's as you bite into it is incredible. But then immediately after, you realize that you feel like crap because all of your energy has just taken a dip. And you do that every single day for the rest of your life, you're not going to be happy. And so by having I think your habits really define what you are. And so on the flip side, if you were to every day say, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have, a nice bowl of cereal, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to work out. You're already putting yourself in a great position because every morning you're waking up, you're feeling energized, your body is loving you for it. And so you have more energy to go about your day. And so, no, I don't think you can be happy without healthy habits in your life.
Well, I would go a step further. Uh, you
Please.
cannot be happy without any habits in your life, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, if we mention about the fact of having unhealthy habits, I mean unhealthy, you're going to be an unhealthy person. Unhealthy habits, unhealthy person, unhappy. Unhappy is probably not a word. We probably made this
Mm,
up right now, but you are going to be an unhappy person. And so at the very end, what is super important is that you dive into that exact strategy to change your life by starting from the ground up. And this is
mm,
why I think habits are so important. And it is because if you have no habits, you have no structure. If you have no structure, you're living in chaos. And I know this from experience. I used to never have a structure. And I told, hey, the entrepreneurial life is me doing whatever the hell I want. I'm not sure we can say that, but here we go. And so I used to wake up and just be like, what's on the agenda? Whatever I decide. And then I used to wonder, why am I not productive at all? And so things had to change in order for my life to change, right? And I'm not sure. Do you have a routine, Robert, that we can go through?
Yeah, 100%. Well, like going back and what you just said, like it really resonated with me because similar to you, when I first left my corporate job, I honestly believed that I was getting into a life where I could just do whatever the hell I wanted. I know, crazy thought, right?
Mm,
But I think a lot of us do. I think we have like this structure that is in place in like a corporate 9 to 5 as an example, or even like thinking back like to when you used to go to school, right? There was this structure where you knew you would be up at 7 a.m. You had
yeah.
to get on a train or take the car into your school, and then you had lessons that were planned out for you at specific times of the day, and then you would come home. Maybe you would relax a little bit before the next day commenced, and you would kind of like, repeat that. And so, like, that really resonated with me because when I went from my corporate job, which was heavily structured, most of the time I always knew what needed to be done, when it needed to be done by, because there was somebody else setting all the deadlines that needed to happen in order for that business to progress. And then my initial thoughts as I left the 9 to 5 is that I can just go into doing whatever I wanted, which was a huge shock to the system when I realized when I didn't have any structure, I didn't know where the hell the business was going and what I was supposed to be doing. And this went on for, a few months at least, um, where I then had to say, okay, like, what the hell is the goal here? And I really then needed to start like planning out what is needed every single day in order for there to be some sort of progress. And I would love to use an example that both myself and Alec have built together to really help us have more structure in our own business today, that has seen us, go to incredible lengths in order to build, incredible businesses. And so, one thing that's really important is to map out your week. Look at how your week is planned out and say to yourself, what days are going to be allocated to a specific task. And so, for example, Monday in our week, we say to ourselves that it's a business day. And what we do is we focus on both our podcast and any outstanding necessities in our business that need to happen in order to move the needle. And then on our Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we then take more of a call approach. So on those days, we are basically, you can almost think about it as networking plus doing calls with potential customers. We are speaking with customers, we are nurturing customers and moving them along the process to actually being customers for our business. And then on our Thursdays and our Fridays, we then look specifically at our clients. We look after our clients. What do they need to be able to do to progress? And then finally, our weekends are dedicated to, well, we have a little bit of a different routine here, Alec, but my routine on a Saturday is to focus on my content creation. And then my Sunday is my day off. It's my day to rest and to recharge. And I think we both have a little bit of a flip there where it's the other way around for us both. But this structure, this act of saying on these days we need to do exactly this, help us to have a habit, to have organization in our
Mm.
life and in our business to carry out the shit that we need to get done.
I love that. So you've broken down the entire routine, and now it's important for people to understand that first of all they need to set up their goals. So Robert went and mapped out the entire week, and so here I'll help you map out your days one by one. Okay. So what is important here is for you to understand first your main priorities in life. Okay. So I divide every single one of my days in 4 other days. Okay. And the first day starts at midnight, in which it's my 6 hours of sleep. Okay. Minimum. Okay. Then you can adjust it as you see fit. And I'll tell you how I adjust it for my maximum benefits. Okay. Then my first priority, the number one most important thing in my life, is my health. Okay, so I take the first part of the day and I dedicate at least 4 to 6 hours to my health. What that includes is me going to the gym, me working out, me going to the sauna, me interacting with people, me being in the social zone, whatever makes me happy and healthy. Okay, why? Because that is my number one priority. Then my third day starts. Okay, my third day is dedicated to my second priority, and that is my business and everything that we do. Our mission to help you, underdogs, to become financially free and to become an industry leader. And so for me, that is extremely important. And I put it as a second priority just after my health. And so in my third day, I'm fully dedicated to my business. And so I know that roughly between 1 p.m., okay, until like 7, 8 p.m., I am working in the business inside all the time. That's all I need to be doing. I don't need to be wondering about no interacting, no chatting with people. Okay, I'm focused on building. Okay, and then the final part of the day is relationships. Okay, for me, as humans, we need to have a certain type of communication, certain type of relationships and nurturing. And so here's where I would interact on social media. Here's where I would, talk with you guys. Here's where I would be with my family. Here's where I would be calling my friends. I would be calling my friends. I'll be calling my family. We would go out, maybe have a drink. Okay. And so I have mapped out my day in 4 very specific days. Okay. And so 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 24, the maximum amount of hours. And people always keep on asking me, well, so you only sleep for, 6 hours. So you only No, like later on, you can be a little bit flexible and you can say, like, hey, for me, right, like I need to sleep 7 hours, so I need to sleep 8 hours. Sleep those hours, okay, and maybe you don't need to be interacting for 6 hours and chatting and being on social media and doing all those stuff, right? And so you can take from day 4, okay, and put it in day 1, and that still works out. But if you set up every single day with a clear priority, you have a winning structure. And when you have a winning structure, you have a winning lifestyle, and then you have a winning business. And so now what we really want you to do, it's a very practical exercise. So I know that many of you are probably walking somewhere and listening to this. I know that many of you are probably in your car driving. But if you are listening to this from a comfortable position, I want you to go ahead, okay, and pause us in a moment. And what I want you to do is go back and listen to what Robert mentioned, how we have structured our routine, and think what would make sense for you, and then take it
Mm.
on and divide your day in 4 different days and think like, what are your main priorities and how can you set this up so that you can have a healthy living routine that will impulse you in both your personal life and in your business. Pause this episode right now, do this, take a pen and paper, break it down, okay? And then come on, because we're going to be talking now about exactly what habits you can build that will impulse you in your career, in your business, and in your lifestyle, in your relationships, okay? All right. And so let's dive into that. And people are probably coming back and they've probably done this exercise. If you did it, underdog, congratulations. And so, Robert, what habits do you think? What specific habits do you think are awesome to build first in your life? No, let's not talk about business. Let's talk specifically about improving your routine as a person.
Mm, improve. Okay, so improving your routine as a person. Well, I quickly want to jump back on, what you had said about your own routine, because there were so many gems that you explained earlier that have to happen in everybody's daily life in their routine, in order to get the most out of life and in order to be on a path of success. And so the very first thing is to have habits that are specifically targeted towards improving your health. And so thinking about what are you really, looking at, for example, what is it that you eat, and also looking at your body, like how do you treat your body? Are you getting movement? Are you looking after your body? And so these are the first things that I would be looking at in order to improve myself. Is I'd be looking at ultimately what I eat and also how I treat my body. I used to be somebody, and we're going back, let's say we're going back 3 years ago. This was just before I quit my job. I used to be very unhealthy. I mean, I had my routines and I had my structures and I had some healthy habits, right? Like I used to work out on a regular basis, but I used to eat very unhealthy.
Mm.
Um, and like in my job, for example, I would go to lunch and I would have I would have a meal that was very risky. you know
Risky?
very risky. Yeah, because like when you have like a really big
What's a
meal that
risky
is
meal?
a risky meal, I'm about to explain to you what a risky meal is. Okay, when you say to yourself, let's call it like that cheeky KFC or that trip to the fish and chip shop,
So
like
tasty.
so tasty. I know, but it's also risky, because when I used to be working and I'd be there working away, like from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., which was like my morning time towards my lunch and my corporate job. I would be on it, right? Like I'd be on fire. I'd be getting all of my tasks done. I'd be like incredible. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're so quick, you're so fast. How do you get all this done?" And then on some days I would eat something incredibly unhealthy, and then come 1 p.m. I would just dip. My performance would be non-existent because I've
Mm,
eaten something that has just completely it's ruined my productivity. It's
yeah,
taken my
heavy meals.
energy. Yeah, it's taken my energy and it's gone, oh yeah, this is great. Poof. and if you're looking right, if you're listening in right now and you can't see the gesture that I'm doing, just think about like a roller coaster when you're going up, and then, as they say, everything that goes up must come
Must calm
down.
down.
It must come down. And yet this is without all the loops and the twirls. This is just a full-on crash to the ground. That is what having those big meals do to you. And so for me, especially, like when I would do that, like I immediately knew, like, there's a point where this is gonna have to stop. And it was a bad habit that I carried over from corporate into my life as running my own business. Like I brought that along, and it was a similar scenario where, like, in the afternoon I would realize that my performance just went to crap. And I had to say to myself, this needs to stop. And so this is one of the most important habits that you as an entrepreneur need to build, is looking after your body, and also understanding, like, what certain foods do to your body, and
Mm.
understanding that if you put crap in, you're going to get crap out. And so immediately starting with your body is one of the biggest, best habits that you as an entrepreneur can build. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Alec.
That's a great one. No question about it, because I support so much starting my day with working out and moving my body and doing all of that. But I think there is a deadlier habit than this one. Okay. And that is procrastination.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. If you're someone who is procrastinating on a daily basis, procrastination leads into laziness. And trust me, you don't want to be labeled as a lazy person. Okay, a lazy person does not achieve things. Okay, that is what procrastination is. Procrastination is robbing you from the only resource that is not unlimited on earth, and that is time. And so, every single time that you procrastinate, you're allowing for your life to go into mere nothing. Okay. And so, instead of doing things, you're literally just stuck in nothing.
Mm.
Okay. It's almost like you're in that forever loop of doing nothing and nothing and nothing all over again. And so, this is why I think procrastination is even deadlier. And it's not even the fact that it's so bad for your business, for your life, but it stops you from literal progress. Okay. And so, if you're not achieving anything, how can you ever be anything? Right? And so I think procrastination is the deadliest habit that one can have.
Ooh, I love that. And I actually have a question that is, honestly, I think this is going to rock your world, Alec. And that is, why do you believe people procrastinate?
Oh man, so many reasons. One of the main ones, I think, fear. I think people fear. I think people
Mm,
have an innate fear of doing things because of two main reasons, and the second one will surprise you. The first reason is because of the natural fear of facing things that we haven't faced before. But the second thing is a big one. And I tell you that I used to suffer from that type of procrastination earlier in my journey, and it was terrifying. And you know what that is? That is, what would happen if I actually make it? People procrastinate on success because they wonder, well, what will happen if I make that post? What will happen if I speak to that girl? What would happen if I start that new business? What would people say? And then
mm,
imagine, imagine that I actually do it and things change for me. Change leads to anxiety. and leads to more fear. And so it's the never ending loop of I will never start because I'm worried to start. And what if I start? What would happen to me? And I think it all comes down to one major problem, and it's uncertainty. People are always uncertain, and therefore, that leads on to anxiety and fear. And so, this, I believe, it's why 98% of people have not mastered never procrastinating. I know the other two of us, we're living a pretty life. By the way, quick disclaimer, it's natural for you to sometimes procrastinate. I don't want people thinking that we're some type of godly behavior here, that we're like, we never procrastinate, we never do. No, like sometimes it's natural for you to spend an extra half an hour in bed. But if you're in your 20s, you need to have a burning desire to actually go out and conquer your goals. And so if you're procrastinating as a habit, you're wasting your life. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think there's a big difference between, procrastination and just taking a little bit more time for yourself. And as you said before, like on like looking at your health, if you feel like you need an extra 30 minutes, if you feel like you need an extra day to look after you, then it's important to take that time, but consciously knowing that the day after that you're ready to tackle what it is that you need to do again.
Yeah.
And and
And
that's how you draw the line.
absolutely. And I always say, if don't ever take a step back. If you're going to take a step back, it's only for you to take two steps forward. And
Mm.
so this is the time for you to rest, not procrastinate. Sometimes I allow my routine to go a little bit slow. And here's the thing, in everything that you do in life, you need this is what we call a deload phase. Okay, you deload the anxiety, you deload the physical stress, you deload the mental stress. But if you do this deload week, it's only for you to come back stronger than you were before. And so I always say, like, don't worry about me being off the grid of the world, okay? Because if I'm off the grid of the world, it's because I'm cooking, I'm preparing for something, but I'm never just laying down doing nothing. And I don't understand the people that are, just laying and doing nothing and just like thinking that, hey, life will shine upon me and waiting for the gods to favor you. If that's all you're going to be doing, let me tell you a harsh truth. Unless you take action, you're never going to make it. It's as simple as that. Like all the mental masturbation, all the thoughts of starting that new thing, speaking to that person, making things happen, nothing happens unless you take the action to make things happen. And so that's very important here. Is habits are actions. And so unless you start, you're never going to build upon it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true, and it's a really good way to kind of label what habits really are. They are actions, and
Mm,
understanding what are the right habits that you need to build in your life in order to achieve whatever it is that you want. And this is where clarity really comes into play, because a lot of people also, like, yeah, people procrastinate, but like, and to add on to why people procrastinate, I wanted to add as well that people often don't know where they want to go.
fantastic.
They
Absolutely. Again, the uncertainty of not knowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, because there is that lack of direction, that lack of clarity, procrastination kicks in on the things that are going to help. I
Mm,
have clients that I've worked with who are absolutely incredible. They are very, very well thought of inside the work that they do. And these are people who are currently, like, doing something. However, they're not as happy as putting that out into the world in order to turn it into something different. And what they
mm,
find is that they struggle with actually who they've built, what they've built, and they're
The
like, I
clarity.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know where this is all leading. And so
Yeah.
when it comes to, for example, them wanting to like spread a message with the world, or to like create a piece of content that they want to put out to an audience, they don't know what it is because that goal is not there. They haven't built in their mind like, what does this all amount to? And so
Yeah.
clarity is so important. Having direction
Mm.
on what all these actions you are taking are leading to. Once you have that, that is where that, that unwavering passion then comes into play. So immediately from my side, I would love to know from you, Alec, what is one thing that our audience could do today if they're in a position where maybe they aren't clear on the direction that they want to go? What is one thing that would help them find direction in their life?
Well, I love that question. And I was so like, I wanted to hear one word from you, Robert, and you didn't mention it. And that word is
Oh.
purpose. It's because people do not have purpose. And so they lack clarity and direction because there is no clear destination. And there is no clear destination because that destination is your purpose. And be I don't want to go into too much depth simply because we have addressed this in a previous episode. Okay,
Mm,
you can check it out. We have spoken on length on how you can find your purpose and how you can find your mission. But let's just say that unless you have a very clear mission and purpose, you just won't be able to build any habits that support that direction. And the reason being is that, as Robert mentioned, there is always going to be uncertainty. You're never going to know what exactly is going to happen. Where are we heading? Okay. And so if you want to find, okay, that purpose in a very simple, okay, phrase, it all comes down to what is your passion? What are the things that drive you? And then how can you use that passion to make an impact into the world? Okay. And so just to give you our general example, we have a mission to help 1 million people become financially stress free. And so this is why we do this. Okay. This is why we speak to you, underdogs, because we have been in that exact same position and we have suffered the stress of not having money and being worried every day about, hey, like what's going to happen next week? What's going to happen tomorrow? And so we don't want you going on that position. And so for us, I think the stress kind of put us in a position of finding that mission and that purpose. What do you think,
mm.
Robert?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is exactly it. The reason why we know what we need to do on a daily basis is because we know what we want to achieve, and we know what we want to be renowned for. And like exactly as you've said, like I know that we've talked in other episodes on how people can really kind of like get a little bit more clearer, but there's like one way that like in the shortest way possible that people can get full clarity if they're in a position where they don't know where they want to go is write down a statement in your mind that best describes who you are and what you want to be
Mm,
renowned for. That's it. Two steps.
I love that.
Who are you? What would you like to be renowned for? And then so we've got that like that selfish goal inside us. We're like, I want to be known for this. And then you need to say to yourself, who needs this? Who is going to benefit from this? And how will they benefit from it? This is taking that combination of that selfish, passion driven desire to succeed that makes you happy, and also fulfilling other people's selfish driven goals that make them happy. That combination is going to help you find habits, actions, everything you need to be on a path that helps you and makes you, not even helps, makes you succeed. Because speaking from experience, Alec and I are so driven when it comes to helping people become financially free. When we get on a call with a client, or when we get on a call with even somebody who is just met us for the first time, when we know that they're in that position of saying, hey, like I'm somebody who, I make like, $2,000 a month, and it's okay, it pays the bills, but I still like, I feel like something's missing. I feel like I could earn more. I could achieve more. This this makes us so happy, because we're like, hey, like we know, we identify potential, we see potential, and we scale potential. And that really drives us, helping turn people who are in a position where, all right, yeah, they're okay, they're comfortable, but they know deep down inside that they could do better for their life, and they could be in a position where money is no longer, it's no longer in the equation.
I love that. And not just that, but there's a lot of people that money is not even the problem, because they
Yeah.
have a very well paid 9 to 5 position, okay, in which they are working every day. But what they're noticing is they don't have the most important currency, and that is time. And
Mm,
so they come to us and say, like, hey, like I have this very well paid job, but frankly, I don't have time for my family. I don't have time to go surfing. I don't have time to go skiing. I don't even have time to go to dinner with my husband. And so I'm in a position in which I'm losing my family. And so money does not matter to them, because there is something greater than that. And they come and they say, like, how can I make it happen? And this is why building your own business oftentimes, right, it's so important, or at least building those side hustles that will allow you to have more free time. And this is why we teach you exactly how you can build your habits, and what are the habits that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur. And so, this is exactly where the second part of the episode comes in. Is we're going to break down the most important habits that you need to have as an entrepreneur. Okay? Starting from the fact that you need to have some core discipline. Okay? If you're someone who is yeah, and discipline, people always keep on talking, and no one defines discipline in the right way. And I'll ask you in a second, what do you think discipline is? But
mm,
for me, it all comes down to, are you capable of controlling your own mind? And so many people, they're not. Okay, their mind says eat burger, they eat burger. Their mind says lay down an extra hour, they lay down 2 extra hours. And so if you cannot control your mind, trust me, you cannot build a business, and you probably won't be happy for long. And so, Robert, what do you think? What is discipline? And
mm.
what role does it play in habits?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I'm reflecting on your own analysis on what discipline
Yeah.
is, because that resonates a lot with me. And it's so, like you mentioned, that it's about, like, being able to control your mind. And essentially it's about being able to also not just control your mind, but to be able to analyze what it's telling you, and to be able to say yes to the good things and no to the bad things. Because we're all human. We have pure and we have impure thoughts. And so, like, as an entrepreneur, okay, so one thing that's really important for our business is to, for example, like, we need to be able to promote our content. We need to be able to promote our offers. And so, in my mind, like, an impure thought is when we have that day where it's just like, I don't want to post content. I just don't want to do it. And then you have your pure for it, where it comes in and says, yes, but you need to. Okay. What does it do for your business? How does it help your business grow? And so being able to effectively understand that and interpret it, and then kind of navigate to the good side, because there's always going to be days where I feel like I don't want to post, always. And so it really comes down to, like, are you going to is there a real reason behind why you're not doing it? If there's not, then you need to just go and do it, because that's the impure thought kind of coming in and saying, yo, no, there's no way. Now, there could be many reasons, and I talk from personal
Mm.
experience here because I have been through it. I've been through a stage where I've gone through complete creative burnout and no longer been able to, like, have clarity on even what on earth I wanted to do. Like, I didn't know what to create. And so, like, speaking about this personal experience that I've had, that was a really important time for me, where no matter how hard I tried, I knew how important the creation of content was. The creative light bulb had just blown, like, it had gone. And so, like, my important decision there is, like, I could continue to say no, like, I'm just going to leave it forever and never look back, and not do anything about it. Or I need to work on this. I need to find ways in order to bring back this creativity. And so my decision was that I need to then spend some time away from creating content, because we're not machines. We can't be creating content on demand, should we so say that we need to. But I needed to bring it back. And so, taking that break, but also trying to fuel my life with creativity again, like reading, finding new ways in order to talk about, like, the ideas that I have in my brain. This was really important. And this is actually something that's happened recently, and it took a little bit of time, but it's been around about the past week where I've actually now started to see some success and started to bring back that creativity. So, once again, bringing this really back in here, and to understand what discipline really is, I could have never posted any content ever again, or I could have done the pure thought, which is to, how do I bring myself back into a position where I can continue to create content and talk about what it is I can help my customers achieve in their life. How do I do it? Because that's why content is so important. So that is my understanding, and that was a little bit long-winded, but it is what it is. And that's my understanding of discipline, is to really understand how to control the pure versus the impure thoughts that we have as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And I think part of what you're mentioning is actually describing what is a really good habit, and it's building resilience. So,
Mm,
you know, building the habit of being resilient and taking risks, it's one of the main habits that you can develop as an entrepreneur. Okay, as an entrepreneur, you need to go into business knowing that the risks will always be there. And you need to also understand that it all depends on how you handle each of those risks. And here is something that stuck with me. And it's, if you never quit, you can never lose. And I'll think about it for a second. If you never quit, you can never lose. How true is that? And now the reality comes down to, right? As an entrepreneur, you need to have certain traits that will support you in building your habits. And those habits will build those traits. And so it's a loop circle in which, hey, at the very end, you need to be developing yourself as a character. I mean, think about a film. Think about any movie, right, in which the main character just stays like one dimensional. They just do the same thing throughout the entire movie. How boring would that be? Okay. And so think about yourself now. You are the main character of your life. And if you, as the main character, want to build a business, now we live in a world in which 2023, listen, you can build a business literally starting with zero. And I have broken this down in so many threads okay, that I have broken. If you go to my Twitter right now, the pin thread is probably still how you can build your business starting from zero with $0. And if you do this, if you just start, okay, you're going to face that uncertainty that we spoke, but you're also going to develop that resilience that Robert just mentioned. And
Mm.
after you develop those, you will notice that you become more disciplined by, and here's the key thing, staying for as long as you can with that action. And so habits are built by starting an action and never stopping. That is as simple as it gets. And I want to
Mm.
dive deeper into the essence of like which are actually the most important habits as an entrepreneur that you think, Robert, people should develop.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. I was actually just again, like once again, reflecting on what you said about your phrase where you mentioned if you don't quit, you never lose. And immediately in my mind, I actually thought, well, what if you find yourself like not being on the right path? Like, should you never quit?
I love that question. And that is a good caveat to have here, right? Like we
Mm.
need to address the main thing. And is if you need to redefine your purpose, you need to redefine your purpose. And how do you know if you need to redefine your purpose? If you're continuously unhappy, trust me, it's probably not your purpose. Okay.
Hmm.
And I'm someone who is an excellent case to mention that because I literally have 3 degrees and 2 masters, and I've always been in my entire life changing stuff. And I've been like, I've completed things and then I've gone a completely different road, right? I used to be an actor, okay? And then I was like one day like, hey, like I actually don't necessarily love that so much. And I decided, hey, like I will focus on digital marketing. And it's funny because the first degree that I intended to complete was literally advertising and PR. And I quit after 6 months because I didn't like it. And 6 years after, I somehow found myself back in the bubble of loving digital marketing, which was very similar to what I was starting at the very beginning. And so, redefining your purpose, destiny will put you where you need to be. You just need to take the action to like change, switch, and search. And when you do those three, you're going to find what is your calling. What is it exactly that you want to do? And so it's okay to quit if you're not feeling happy for a prolonged period of time. Just understand that life is not necessarily meant for us to be happy all the time. And so, if you're just having a bad week, a bad month, it could actually be okay. We've had pretty bad months in both business and in our personal lives, and we haven't quit our purpose and we haven't decided that, hey, it's too bad and it's too hard, and now we're just going to quit. We've powered through. But if it continued probably for like months and years, there comes a point in time in which you just have to say, like, maybe that's not the thing that I want to do. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And I love where you mentioned like redefining because this is where you kind of
Not quitting.
yeah, exactly. Exactly the point. Like the most important thing here is that if you never give up, if you don't quit, you can never fail. And so that's the whole point. You don't
Yeah,
quit, you
you
redefine, okay?
redefine.
Because you're on a road, okay? You are on a road and you have all of these paths that are available to you, okay? Now, quitting is just deciding that you're going to drive back and you're just going to keep driving backwards. That's quitting, okay? That's what you're doing. You're just in
Or
reverse your
stopping.
whole life.
Or
Yeah,
stopping and
and
doing nothing
stopping
about it.
and doing nothing about it.
And
Just stand still.
waiting for another car to hit you on the road.
This is it. Like, but that's it. Like,
Yeah.
I for like, I'm not even for a second believe that anybody in their mind just says, "I just want to stay still for the rest of my life." There are always paths. And
Mm.
so understanding that when you're going straight ahead is not the best path to take, and you need to take a right in order to go down something new, in order to explore something new. Because the reality is, especially when we're doing like, something new and we're exploring it, we are learning, we're discovering what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and ultimately making a decision on whether or not it's the right choice to make. And that's why I always find it interesting, like with how many people talk about defining your purpose, because a lot of people talk about defining your purpose as though it's like a said and done thing, that like once you found it, it's the only way for you to go. Now, I'm one of these people who truly believes that in life, like you are always evolving as a person. And so that direction that you travel in will change. It will evolve. It might turn into something new. And being open to that process of discovery, and being okay that when you find something that you don't like, you say, it's all good. Let me find something different. Let me, like, train a new muscle in my mind and my body to work at it and see if this is what's right for me. I think curiosity is where I'm really going with this. Always being curious to what the possibilities are in your life, to what the business opportunities that you attract are, enables you to constantly be hungry to eventually land on something that
Ooh.
you're happy with.
Oof. And so build the habit of staying curious, of being curious. Yeah.
Build the
A-
habit of curiosity.
Build the habit of curiosity. And I think many people underestimate, and they think of like healthy habits, not smoking, eating healthy, going to the gym. And all of those are fantastic, and ones that I absolutely
Mm,
support, right? You definitely don't need this, right? But what about the habits that are so essential to your mental health and to your capacity of moving forward? What about the habits of resilience that we covered? What about the habits
yeah.
of staying curious and staying loyal to your purpose? What about the habits of doing things despite being in a position in which you're hurt, right? Having that grit, that hunger, staying hungry for success. I think those habits are extremely underrated and ones that are not currently present heavily in our society. I think so many people, they are too weak and they quit too quick.
Mm,
And
mm.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you mentioned something like, staying loyal to your purpose. And I wanted to go a step further and say, staying loyal to your journey. And this is then, once again, it's redefining it, and it's saying like staying loyal to your path, and understanding that, just stopping and being at a standstill, you are not serving your journey. You are going nowhere, and so you're doing yourself a disservice. But by actively choosing and saying to yourself, for example, this is not the right path, I'm going to turn right and I'm going to explore this. You are staying loyal to the fact that you are always opening up the possibility to learn. Again, nurturing this curiosity, that you are opening up these possibilities to explore something new and become good at something that you never even thought possible. And
And
so,
this is why like one of the worst advice that I have received in my life is never change. One of the
mm,
worst pieces of advice that I have received is never change, just be yourself. Oh
mm,
my goodness, if you never change, it means you're not evolving. And this is why it's so important that you keep on moving forward and that you keep on improving and changing. Changing is part of nature. A seed becomes a tree, and it could have stayed a seed. And if it was just a seed, no one would ever discover it. and no one
Yeah.
would say like, wow, look at that tree. And so if you are someone who has a purpose, you need to keep on going, because you're never going to grow unless you change and improve, right? I mean,
One.
it's such a bad advice.
Yeah, yeah, no, I've never been a fan of those cliche pieces of advice of just be yourself, or and even like be authentic. Honestly,
You hate it.
I hate the word authenticity, because it's always spoken from people who are trying to tell you to be something or to do something, and they use that as like a way to kind of put themselves on like a pedestal. And
Yeah.
I never like it, because authentic is just, it's you, like it, and it's like it's everything that you do, be it today, be it tomorrow.
You are
Just
who you
because I
are.
didn't work out yesterday doesn't mean I'm not going to do it today, and because
Yeah.
if I don't do it, like that makes me not authentic. Like it's crazy. Or like when people are like, oh, you like you're so fake when you talk about things. It's like, well, what defines me being fake? Like I'm just showing up and doing what I do. You could call the Kardashians fake, and yet they show up every single day and they do them. Like, and so
But
it's like,
how do you know? How do you know? How do you know someone's true identity? Is like my question.
you don't, because
Exactly.
it's an opinion based, it's
It's
opinion based
opinion.
from other
Yeah.
people. And so like that's one thing as well. And I mean, like, I'm getting very excited now, but like never question your identity, because it's like you are who you are, be it like the good and the bad. It's a combination of everything. And so like it's just about accepting that, and don't allow anybody to use words that kind of like make you feel like you should be something else. It's crazy.
No, it's unbelievable. So yeah, your identity makes you. And when it comes to running a business, it's not just about staying authentic, never changing. It's about building the resilience, the grit, the curiosity that allows you to stay in the game for long enough. And let me tell you one thing: if you stay in the game of business long enough, you will beat others by submission, because they would
Mm,
quit. Okay, the majority of people, they quit after a couple of days. Okay,
mm,
and we've spoken about the valley of despair, right? You start with excitement, and then you just go down, and then you realize that it's too hard, and then you just quit. And so, aside from this holy trifecta of special habits, right? What other habits do you think are absolutely essential when it comes to running a business?
mm. Well, I really want us to use the trifecta as a foundation for the
I
habits
love
that
that.
people should use. Because like, let's start, for example, with the habit of never quitting. Okay. And so
Mm.
like, I'm now going to reverse this, and pose the very first question to you, because you are somebody who I admire when it comes to being like on it, when it comes to never quitting. You're someone who I hold like with a high admiration when it comes to the amount of enthusiasm you put into what needs to be done. And so when it comes to never quitting, what is one habit that you would share with people in order to help them with their business?
I think I wouldn't share just a habit. I would share the mindset that I
Ooh.
have in order to never quit and in order to continue with enthusiasm. For me, I get to do this. I'm not doing this because I have to. I get to do this. Okay? And so I think about it every single morning. I am so privileged for being in the position of speaking to hundreds of thousands, and for having an audience such as yourself, guys, that I cannot fail you. Okay? God has put me, that destiny is mine for the taking. And so I would be failing so much more than just me, you, and all the underdogs that are listening to me. I would be failing my future potential person. And so I think, realistically, who do I want to be? Do I just want to be the guy that I am today? No, I want to be so much more. And if I don't continue moving forward, how am I ever going to become the best version of myself? I mean, we're talking about curiosity here. I'm
Mm,
curious to see how great I can be in every single area of my life 5 years from now. And so when I think about that, and when I combine it with practicing gratitude, here are the two habits, mindsets, if you want to say, that are
mm,
keeping me in the game. And I always say, if you want to beat me, then you would be willing to play this for the next 30 or 50 years, because I'm not quitting. Because I'm curious, what would I look like in 50 years? To how many people would I be speaking? How many people would we have helped? Because
mm,
soon enough, we need to change our mission. Because 1 million, now it's not going to be enough. It'll have to be 1 billion. And I'm curious, can we reach the billion? Can we reach the billion of revenue? Can we reach the billion of impact? Can we reach billions of people, billions of impact? And that's how big I think, right? And so this,
mm.
you can see it now. I'm fired up. I speak about it and I
Yeah.
know this is it. I cannot quit when I get to do this. I get to do it. And I'm grateful for all of you.
Mm. I love that. So I heard like so many gems there. The one that I really wanted to and okay, so hey, you know, I don't know who to kind of quote here, but it's a famous Apple phrase, and that is to think big and to always think big. I think this is one of the best actionable tips we can give on that front is to really think about the possibilities that are open to you by doing whatever it is that you want to do. Take take that initial idea and be curious with it. Really identify where is it going to go to get yourself hyped up, to inject that energy and enthusiasm to all your actions, because it's fine when you just have this small scale idea of like, oh hey, I'm gonna start like a
Yeah.
new business, like that doesn't entice anyone. But when you say to yourself, this is going to be
So
the
good.
next Apple, this is going to be the, you
So
know,
good.
the next biggest psychology coaching business in
I
the
love that.
world, right? That is when you start really putting in that energy. That is when you start injecting fire into your being.
Ah man, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you know that I was mad supportive of this. I was like, this is so good. I was like, this needs to be pinned right there, because this opens a world of new possibilities. Guys, like, think about it. If every single thing that you started was this incredible thing, right? And partially I think I have that in my mindset too, because I go to work out. I don't think even about like how I'm looking today. I think like I'm gonna be one of the strongest, I'm gonna be one of the best looking dudes out there in like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And I'm just like, wow, how would I look? Like, so good, right? And when
Mm,
we're building that business, I think like we're already doing fantastic. We have 700,000 plus followers. We're doing multiple six figures. We have achieved all of this. We have helped thousands of students. And I think, imagine in the next 5 years, like, I'm so freaking excited about it. And every single one of
mm.
you should be so freaking excited with everything you start, because think big and think about the possibilities.
100%. Let your curiosity run wild, because
Oof.
that is what is going to get you excited. That is what's going to enable you to put your best foot forward when it comes to growing a business at an exponential scale.
Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Guys, this was so good if you apply it. that it's going to keep you in the game. Okay, curiosity, resilience, never quitting, okay, and staying so freaking excited to deliver that impact, that selfish and selfless impact. If you combine everything that we have spoken alongside the exercise that we proposed, because we gave you our personal routines for the week and for the day, trust me, you're going to be ahead of 75% of the people. And so, if you're capable of doing that, you're going to be setting up the stones, the base for your next business, for your next adventure, for bettering yourself, being happier, and starting to build those habits. And I think, Robert, this is a great time to leave it on that high note, or to leave it on that
100%.
lesson of staying excited. Would you agree?
Oh, I absolutely agree. So, final words from us. Stay excited, stay curious, and stay on your path.
I love
And
that,
we will
man.
see you in the next episode.
We'll see you in the next episodes, underdogs. And remember, even when no one believes in you, we do. We'll see you in the next one.